Hello students, this is Vaishali, a faculty in School of Finance and Commerce, Galgotias University, and I welcome you all to this presentation series on leadership. So let's get started with the presentation. Let's briefly have a look at the contents of the presentation. We'll begin with the introduction and definition of the term leadership. Then we'll move on to importance of leadership, and further we'll cover the three different types of theories of leadership, that is trait theory, behavioral theory and contingency theory. And in this presentation, trait theory and behavioral theory are explained in detail. So let's get started with the presentation. So let's begin by defining the term leadership. This term has been defined in different ways by different sets of scholars. So the most basic definition of leadership is that it's the ability to influence a group towards the achievement of a goal. So the success of an organization largely depends on the leadership, and it can transform the potential into reality. So to quote one author named Chester Bernard, he says that leadership is the ability of a superior to influence the behavior of subordinates and persuade them to follow a particular course of action. Now, in an organization, a person may assume leadership both either in formal way or informal way. So, by formal leadership, we mean to say that a person assumes the role of leader. So it is based on his position. He is designated with a certain title and is given certain authority and responsibility to lead the team. Now, in the second form of leadership, a person assumes leadership without any formal sanction of authority. Here, the informal leader is able to influence the group outside the formal structure of the organization, as he is not given any formal title. And still people in the organization are obliged to follow that leader, even when there is no formal influence. Leadership is quite important for an organization, as leaders act as agents who cope with the change and bring about that change for the betterment of the organization. Leadership establishes direction by developing a vision for future for the organization, and then they communicate that vision to the people and synchronize them with the organizational vision and mission. Thereby they inspire the people to translate goals, vision and mission into reality. So leadership is the ultimate act that brings success to all the potential that is there in the organization and its people. Let's look at the theories of leadership. So for influencing the people in the organization towards the achievement of goal, there have been various approaches which are adopted by different sets of leaders, and the reason is because one model may not be suitable for all, since different organizations have different sets of objectives. So the leadership theories can be categorized into three main categories: trait theory, behavioral theory and contingency theory. So in this presentation we are going to discuss trait theory and behavioral theory in detail. So first is the trait theory of leadership. Now we all know that there are many leaders in the history, and they have been always identified on the basis of the qualities or the traits that they display. So as the name suggests, this trait theory of leadership considers the personal qualities and characteristics that differentiates a leader from the non-leader. The assumption behind this theory is that leaders are born and not made. This concept was popularly known as great man theory of leadership. So this theory assumes that a leader cannot be a normal person and they're different from the average person in terms of their personality traits such as intelligence, perseverance and ambition. Now in the period of 1960s, various research studies were made on the traits of a leader and about some 80 traits that a leader could display were identified. The trait leader theory assumes that leaders are born with some inherited traits and good leaders have the right amount or right combination of these traits. So for example, they have some physical traits like energy, appearance, height, which are different from the non-leaders, and personality traits possessed by leaders are adaptability, aggressiveness, enthusiasm and self-confidence, and social skills that a leader possesses are cooperativeness, interpersonal skills and administrative ability. So this is what trait theory of leadership says about a leader. Now after these traits were identified, the literature on trait theory was comprehensively reviewed, and one of the major things or significant things that came out of this review was that the traits were clubbed under the Big Five personality approach. So it was summarized that a leader is somebody who scores high on extrovertedness, conscientiousness and openness. So a leader is somebody who is extroverted, that is the individuals who like to be around people and are able to assert themselves. Then conscientiousness is individuals who are disciplined and keep their commitments, and openness is a trait of people who are creative and flexible. So these kind of people who will score on high on these three traits are the ones who will have an advantage when it comes to leadership. In recent years, there is another trait famously known as emotional intelligence, which has also been added to this list. People who favor EI, they argue that without emotional intelligence, a person can have outstanding training, a highly analytical mind, a compelling vision, and even terrific ideas, but still they will not make a great leader. Because a leader needs to be somebody who is empathetic, he is somebody who can sense others' needs, listen to what his followers are saying, and are able to read the reaction of others. And then only a leader would be successful. Trait theory was highly criticized as it was considered to be too simplistic in nature, which does not hold good for all circumstances and situations. It ignores all other factors other than the traits which are necessary for the development of a leader. Moreover, there was no congruence among the different thinkers of this trait theory, and there was no universal test to measure these traits and the degree in which they appear in a person. And also it ignores the fact that traits may change over time. The failure of these early trait studies led researchers to wonder whether there was something unique in the way effective leaders behave. While trait research provides a basis for selecting the right people for leadership, behavioral theories of leadership implied we could train people to be leaders. So while the assumption behind trait theory is that leaders are born and not made, behavioral theories assume that specific behavioral patterns of leaders can be acquired through learning and experience. On one hand, the trait theories concentrate on what leaders are, and behavioral theories on the other hand concentrate on what the leaders do. So there are three types of behavioral theories that we are going to discuss: the Ohio studies, second Michigan studies, and then managerial grid. So one of the foremost studies on behavioral theory was the study made by Ohio State University in 1945. This study narrowed the leadership behavior into two categories. One is initiating structure and other is consideration. And under these two heads, the leadership behavior were clubbed. Initiating structure is the behavior where leader likes to define the structure and role of employees and is highly goal oriented. This kind of behavior includes the attempts where the work is organized and work relationships and goals are also organized. So a leader with initiating structure is generally somebody who is task oriented and his focus is on performance of employees and meeting deadlines. So work is more important for a leader who focuses on initiating structure. Then consideration. If a leader falls under this category, then he is somebody who pays more attention on employees rather than the task. So his concern is more for the well-being, comfort and satisfaction of the employees than on the work. He focuses on the relationships that are characterized by mutual trust and respect for employees. Similar to the Ohio State University studies, the research on leadership was also carried out by University of Michigan's Research Center in 1946. The study made an analysis of the relationship between leadership behavior and organizational performance. Here again, the Michigan studies also identified a two-factor component, that is employee-oriented leader and production-oriented leader. So an employee-oriented leader is somebody who focuses on interpersonal relations with the employees, and such leader pays more attention on the needs of the employees and accepts the individual differences among the employees. Whereas on the other hand, a production-oriented leader is somebody who pays attention to the technical aspect of the job than employees. Such kind of leader will give least importance to the group members and he regards his employees just as a means to achieve the ends. So he is more like a taskmaster. It was seen that this two-factor conceptualization of Ohio study is very similar to the two-way dimension of the Michigan study that we just discussed. Now, while the employee-oriented leadership can be considered compared with the consideration component of Ohio studies, and production-oriented leadership can be compared with initiating structure of the Ohio studies. But Ohio studies considered both the components to be important for effective leadership, while the Michigan study gave more importance to the employee orientation over production orientation. So this is the difference between both the studies, Ohio and Michigan's. Next is the managerial grid. So just like Ohio study and Michigan study, the managerial grid theory of leadership is also based on the style of concern for people and concern for production. This was proposed by Robert Blake and Jane Morton in 1964. This theory is depicted in a graphical form, which is also known as leadership grid theory. So this grid is a 9 by 9 matrix which outlines 81 different styles of leadership. The grid has 9 possible positions along with each axis, and it creates 81 different positions in which the leader's style can fall, as you can see on the screen. So through the managerial grid, 5 kinds of leadership styles were identified. Those 5 styles are as follows. Impoverished, so in which there is a low concern for people as well as production. It is 1 by 1 on the grid. Then second is country club, that is 1 by 9. Here concern for production is low, but concern for people is high. Then is task. Here concern is high for production and low for people. The next is middle of the road leadership approach, and here there is a moderate concern for both production as well as people. Next leadership style is team. Here there is a high concern for both people as well as production. So this theory offers a very useful framework for understanding leadership styles. Although behavioral theory has made its contribution in understanding the effectiveness of a leader, yet it is not free from its limitations. So it was criticized on the following grounds. So behavioral theory of leadership has proposed leadership styles, but a specific leadership style may not be best in all the circumstances. Then, although this theory helps manager in developing particular leadership behavior, but they provide very little guidance as to what is effective leadership under different situations. Then it is very difficult to say with this theory that which style of leadership is more significant with one group of people and which one will be more significant with other set of people. So now we have come to the end of the presentation. I thank you all for hearing me out patiently, and on the screen you can find out some of the references to enhance your knowledge on this topic.